Welcome, angry faith. That was kind of weird, but
It was not your usual welcome. It was like
well,
it
no.
it was more it was more even keeled.
Oh, come on, do it again.
Okay. Welcome, angry faithful, to What the Hell NBA in Trouble. The Mafia owns the NBA.
Okay.
And
So, yeah, this article, yeah. I think it's funny, right? Because the NBA, if you follow this channel and you listen to either live or on playback, our sports show, we cover basketball at the bare minimum, right?
oh yeah,
And so it's not that we disrespect the sport. It's just the fact that I personally don't enjoy basketball. I know that there are people out there that do. I get it. My father-in-law used to coach high school basketball for years. Both my wife and her sister both played high school basketball their entire high school career. Get it. Me, on the other hand, no. No, I fully embrace the fact that I'm an inaccurate shooter from the field and the paint. I have no business being on a basketball court, so I don't feel like I need to cover basketball. That being said, uh with what came down the other day when Cash Patel held the press conference about the NBA and the gambling ring that they shut down, with the crime families being involved, I'm like, whoa, yeah. So if there's any major sports league out there that needs to have the scripted tag put on it, it would have to be the NBA at this point, because if China doesn't have their hands in it, the mob does.
oh yeah.
So, but this article's coming from NBCnews.com. Let's see here. David K. Lee is on the byline, and it was dated for today. Article came out at 2:35 our time. NBA gambling scandal shows that La Cosa Nostra is still alive and well. A string of federal operations decades ago nearly decimated New York's major crime families, but they haven't gone completely away. Now, associates of four of New York's infamous five families crime syndicates allegedly backed a multi-million-dollar poker con that used elaborate technology to cheat unsuspecting players and bought rare, unappreciated light to the mob's shadowy operations, officials said. Now, associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families were named in a sweeping indictment that also ensnared Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and one-time NBA journeyman Damon Jones, according to prosecutors from the Eastern District of New York. Federal authorities didn't hesitate Thursday to pin the poker scam on La Cosa Nostra, showing that organized crime is still a modern law enforcement concern, even after FBI operations in the 80s and 90s seemed to decimate the five families. The mafia is still a thing, said Jeff Schumacher, vice president of exhibits and programs for the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. I love how, I'm going to take a break here. I love how NBC, instead of going to law enforcement officials for a quote, they go to a curator of a museum in Las Vegas, of all places. Anyways,
Yeah.
continuing. The mob works best when the public knows less about the people involved, according to Schumacher, who, excuse me, who called famed bosses like the late Dapper Don, John Gotti, an aberration. They didn't want the general public to be well versed in their business. The one guy who kind of defined the whole thing was John Gotti, because he just believed that he was untouchable, Schumacher said. A dozen mafia associates played a role in the poker scam, prosecutor said. Ernest Elio and Julius J. Zalini were linked to the Bombano crime family. Louis Apasilia, Amar Flapper Poker Adawaya, John Gallo, Joseph Lanai, Nicholas Mussini, Angelino Ruggero Jr. were associates of the Gambino crime family. Matthew the Wrestler Dadino and Lee Fama were identified as associates of the Geminisi crime family. Matthew the Wrestler Dadino and La Fina. I just read that. Seth Trussman was linked to the Lucchese family. Let's see here. And Thomas Juice Gallardo, or no, Gallardo. There we go. Gallardo. Yeah, I gotta say it like it is. Was was called an associate of the Bavano crime family and later an associate of the Giovannici crime family, according to the indictment. Now, gambling is an easy pinch and bread and butter income source for the mob. The author and former Gambino mobster Luis Ferrante told NBC News. I wasn't at all surprised. Gambling has been a mafia mainstay for the last 100 years. With all of the RICO indictments that put so many people away for the rest of their lives in the 80s and 90s, the mob is sort of scaled back and they stuck with loan sharking and gambling because if you get busted, as long as there's no violence involved, nobody beat up or threatened, it's a slap on the wrist. He added these guys could do a nickel maybe in the can as opposed to doing 30 to 40 years or life sentences. Organized crime soldiers and associates are busted all the time, but rarely make news, said Seth Zuckerman, a New York criminal defense lawyer and former Brooklyn prosecutor. It's not what it used to be, but it definitely still exists, Zuckerman said. In underground poker games and things like that, where you need protection, you need a source of cash, the mob still has its involvement. With legal online gambling, users are required to put up all of the money before they place a bet, but the crime families operate outside of the rules by acting as an intermediary, offering people the ability to place bets on credit. That's always a bad idea.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's still a need for that, Zuckerman said. There are people who want to bet on credit, which, as you know, with legalized operations, you really can't do. So that's part of the mob's territory. Federal action against Billups and Jones spilled into two separate indictments covering poker and insider sports betting information. The alleged mafia members are only tied to the alleged poker scheme, but the mob does have a long history of involvement in sports betting and poker. Gives some the most infamous being the 1919 Chicago White Sox when they threw the World Series, and that was allegedly engineered by gambler Arnold Rothstein, a mentor to the early Genovese boss Charlie Lucky Lucino. Gives a couple of more examples here, but the New York City area's 5 families include the 4 mentioned in the indictment, plus the Colombo family, crime family.
Missed them.
FBI Director Kash Patel said federal law enforcement had entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Balbano, Gambino, Giovannici, and Lucchesi crime families. Old-fashioned mob muscle ensured victims paid up from their losses in rigged games, officials said. With respect to poker games held in the New York City area, members of the crime families used threats and intimidation to assure payments of debts and games organized by defendants, or the defendants that were listed above. All crime families involved received proceeds from the crooked games, the indictment said. Let's see here. I love some of the nicknames they got here. The mob moves with technology, Fronte said. Don't think that some capo Frankie Nine Fingers or Joe the Butcher is making these moves. They're getting some geek who knows technology and he's doing it for them. Let me see here. Let's see. Yeah, so it's like when you see 4 of the 5 crime families involved, you know that it's a huge racket. What I love is some of the additional information that I was seeing come out about this since yesterday's press conference was the fact that there are a lot of active players that are starting to be named. One of which
you might not want to wait. You might want to wait until we get actual proof on the one.
I get that. I'm saying alleged.
Okay.
If Candace Owens can use the word alleged and throw some shit out there into the universe, I can use the word alleged.
Okay.
Allegedly, LeBron James was one of the more higher profile names that was named or that was thrown out there. The only thing I'm going to say is this.
It so makes sense.
If it's proven to be factual, the GOAT conversation that was long since over can now be finally put to bed. Because although Michael Jordan did have his gambling problems, that all took place after he retired. So I mean, and he would strictly go to the casinos in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Michael Jordan never bet on sports that he was actively playing in. And again, this all took place after he retired from basketball the second time. So, it's one of those situations where you just kind of want to look at it and be like, all right, we've got these alleged names involved with this, that are actively playing in the sport at a very high level. Let's put all of our ducks in a row and go after them. Now, I say go after them. I'm not saying we commit lawfare, because, lawfare is not a good thing. It never is. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. But let's do our due diligence. Let's be thorough. Let's make sure all of our I's are dotted, all of our T's are crossed before you start coming down with these indictments, because for a fact that these high profile multi-million dollar athletes are going to be coming, to the table loaded to the teeth with high priced lawyers that will, argue it down to a, misdemeanor, shoplifting under $5 charge. So, we need to make sure that you got them dead to rights before you start bringing these guys to the courtroom.
Well, yeah, because what they're trying to, this has been going on for 4 years.
Yeah.
They've been, this isn't our administration. It's literally started last year administration. And what it is, they're trying to get a RICO case because, I mean, one, it's 5 families. 2, it's 30 NBA people that are in the NBA. I'm talking coaches, players, assistant coaches. And it's what surprised me. I thought it was just, the NBA. They were just shaving points off in the NBA, getting players off of the field so that he doesn't play because someone has a couple of points on the scoreboard for him to get money. No, this is literally, they even had a poker ring going on. Hey, you want to meet one of the players? Well, he's going to do a poker game, and the buy-in is they're saying is like in one game the players that went in lost $50,000. Now, $50,000, some of these people that actually go to these poker games, not that big of a deal. The big deal is they had cameras on the shuffles machines. Basically, when the cards go through, they could see what card is going to each player. They also had glasses that you could see the invisible ink on the cards.
Mm-hmm.
They had a cart going in around the players and checking what they were doing. Basically, it was cheating 101. Yeah. Everything that you shouldn't be able to do in Vegas, they were doing.
Yeah, this is why you see these people that occasionally win against the house, right? But the adage is that the house always wins, and there's a reason for it. I don't care how regulated things are. I think that, and don't get me wrong, if when my wife and I ever decided to take off for a weekend and go to Vegas just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna play, right? Yeah, I mean, because why not? You're in Vegas, right? So, but it's these people that do it as a vocation. That's just, man, that's,
yeah. And even still, when they do it, they have like a system to where they get so much stuff and they get so many points. They actually get something in return on that.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Indian or the Native American Indian casinos that you see set up on reservations or dotted all over Oklahoma.
Been to most of them.
Yeah, it's like I always used to joke. It's like the white man introduced alcoholism and syphilis to the Native Americans, and they introduced addiction and bankruptcy.
I keep a bag. I keep a bag permanently in the trunk that is the size of an overnight bag, and it has nothing in it but casino cards from all the casinos around the state of Oklahoma, organized in Ziplocs by casinos that are grouped together. So at any time we take off and
That's
Anyway.
a lot of work, Bill.
no, it's just one bag, boom.
That's so. I mean, like
We
you
do-
remember the skit, the SNL skit, the anal retentive carpenter or woodworker,
Mhm.
right?
No.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
He would take his scrap pieces of wood and put them in individual paper bags and staple them shut before he put them in a trash can.
I like when he cut himself.
Oh no, it's like casinos that we usually go to. Like we'll go to 2 or 3
Well,
in,
say
the same,
that
in the same
because-
night.
You led off with every casino in the state of Oklahoma, and it's like that's
Yeah.
a lot of ground, dude.
Yeah, we drove over 2,000 miles in 1 month just going to casinos.
You know, I was trying to help you out here.
We'll take and we'll head north. We'll go over to River Star, up to Chisholm Trail, Salt Creek, sometimes to Lucky Star, back to Newcastle, and back down in one night.
Okay.
And we took $60 out of our bank account. I think it's been almost 20 years ago when Kiowa opened across the border, and we've never taken another dime out. We're still gambling on that $60.
Mhm.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
see, there's ways you can do that.
Well, I had a system in Las Vegas. 5 out of the first 7 times I went to Las Vegas, I came back with more money than I left with on roulette, which is like the second worst odds, I think, of casino games.
Actually, the best one is actually Baccarat.
Keno. I came
No.
back with Keno one time, $500 one hit.
Nice.
And people don't usually do that. Now, my recommendation, people, my recommendation is if you're going to go out to Las Vegas, do it before the end of February.
Okay.
The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere ends, I think it's the end of February. We would almost be tempted to fly out there just to see that and fly back.
I'd rather go like in the beginning of, middle of January so I can go to SHOT Show. And they have the AVNs awards. I'm saying I'd probably go to the SHOT Show.
I like to go in the heat of the
Never-
summer because the eye candy is so sweet. I almost go into a diabetic coma.
But anyways, did you ever hear Chris talk about his time when he went to SHOT Show one year because he was working for Black Rifle Coffee?
I've heard a couple of those stories. I mean, if I remember right,
I was like,
David,
he went
that first day that we met him over there at Deli Planet in Wichita Falls, like he told one of those stories when we were sitting there.
No, he told the story on the podcast. We weren't talking about that.
No. I'm
For
saying-
our vast audience of viewers, explain what SHOT Show is.
SHOT Show is basically a hunting and gun show. It's not like you can go there and purchase anything. It's basically vendors going there and they show what's going to be out for the next year. The big thing is Palmetto State Armory. They get you to vote on which guns they're going to produce out. This year, it is the mixtape, which I'm thinking about buying. Basically, it's a honey badger, but it's $1,000.
God. Okay.
Okay. Are you saying God, the cheapness of it?
$1,000.
A honey badger is $5.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah. All right. Shoot, go for that.
Yeah, an actual honey badger from Q costs about $5,000. Yeah, and Palmetto is they're cloning a lot of weapons. and that's one of that was the last one. They only do like 3 a year.
Wow.
But
Honey badger has no fear of a leopard.
That's because a honey badger doesn't give a shit.
Wow.
I still like that. There was a one of those AI videos, Reddit stories, and they were talking about, oh, the alien races brought their most vicious and destructive animals from the galaxy, and humanity brought something they call a honey badger, and the honey badger just destroyed everything. Oh yeah, they're mean, dude. Dude, I've seen one take down an elk.
I love the Ozman reviews narration of a honey badger video.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. Oh man,
I like the is Action Figure Man. It was 8 years ago. They only did like a couple of things, but the memes from them are constant nowadays.
yeah.
And they have a honey badger one. Oh my Lanta. It is so good. But another thing just popped in, and we're gonna go ahead and, well, I'm just gonna show it. This is from Tony Gonzalez. This is Tony Gonzalez going, I'm looking forward for another successful re-election campaign in Texas 23rd District. And the reason why I'm saying this is because someone is going up against him, trying to take down the Rhino. Okay? And that's Brenda Herrera. Brenda Herrera, after he posted that, he posted this. It's Darth Vader lighting his dark saber. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen the reports? What is it? Ben Soderbergh, I think his name is, and Adam Driver have both come out and they were like, yeah, we had this amazing idea for a Star Wars movie called The Hunt for Ben Solo. And Lucasfilm loved it. But then they went to Bob Iger, head of Disney, and they were like, yeah, no. And they killed it right there.
I would freaking kill it as fast as possible.
No, because like they were like, well, how does Ben like, how does he live, right? Kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh yeah,
I would have loved to have had a Ben Solo movie. I really would have. Dude, I think that would have been so good. No, not as like, I mean, as a standalone kind of a
the books
side
are
story.
100 times better.
I get that, but with the insult to the universe that the sequel trilogy was, I think that a Ben Solo movie would have been good.
You know, everybody's allowed to be wrong every once in a while.
Dave, you're wrong all the time. So, you know.
Yeah, but every once in a while, I'll get like a grain of genius. I'm surprised, and I have to take like a glass of orange juice afterwards.
I'm not even a Star Wars fan. And I thought that this was going to be this would have been a good idea.
If they used like the legacy canon, dude, that was 100 times better. He had the same. It was almost the same arc, and he went bad, and then he went good. But the storyline of the whole thing was just superb. But anyways,
if someone has cruised and they say they've been solo, more than likely on Norwegian because they have a lot of solo cabins.
Okay, thank you for
anyways,
that was something.
That was a thing.
Yeah. But anyways, Tulsi Gabbard has just came out and she's talking to Trump about trafficking. and we'll go ahead and
The most insidious was providing intelligence to the Mexican law enforcement that led to the arrest of a CJNG cartel-affiliated baby trafficker called La Diabla. Her whole money-making operation was centered around luring pregnant women, performing illegal C-sections, harvesting organs, and selling newborn babies. Mr. President, it's your leadership that has made all of this possible. I can tell you, in the midst of this government shutdown, our folks, like everyone around this table, are working 24/7 without pay and eager to get after this because they believe in your leadership and the mission that you have presented to them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll hand this off.
yeah, she was a piece of work. I mentioned her a couple of episodes ago. That La Diablo was she was evil incarnate, and the bodies that she left out I'm talking probably around about 1,000 women. Yeah. So, but she's caught. She should be dead, but All right,
I
Bill.
mean, that's some like, dude, that is evil, bro. I mean,
well, that's not the first time I've ever heard of something like that.
no, it's not, but you're just kind of like, you're just sitting there going, like, I mean, I get like it by today's standards, we're kind of desensitized to a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Case in point, I was kind of halfway watching that monster Ed Gein story on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And with the Tarantino-esque, switchbacks that they kept doing from one period to the next.
Mhm.
They were showing like depicting this, like initial screenings of Psycho back in the 60s, right? And like just people fainting, people throwing up. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I've seen Psycho. There's nothing in the original version that makes me go, oh my God, right?
Mhm.
I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, wow. And like in the 60s, you probably got some like World War II and Korean War veterans that are watching this movie in the theater. And if they're getting upset about it, like, but then you start thinking about what we see today.
Oh yeah.
Just like with the standard, right? Of what's grotesque, what's evil, and what's over the line has so grossly gone north that like just her describing what this monster was doing is just, or it continues to do. I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh no,
what
she's
that
not.
is. Did she get caught?
Mhm.
Did I? Okay.
She got arrested.
Okay.
You were
no,
talking about spewing chunks. I
Yeah, hold
have
on.
a friend who went into a bar. Huh?
Hold on. No,
It's a
I've
good
had.
one,
We'll come back around to it. What's really sad is I've been hearing when I was working corrections, I read articles and everything because there's not much you can't have your phone on you. You have like newspaper articles and magazines. There was one magazine article, and it was a woman that kidnapped a pregnant woman. The other woman pretended to be pregnant, then cut the baby out and killed the mother and had the baby. Well, she did this for like 2 or 3 weeks. Someone got onto her, and they found out what had happened. The father and the cops caught her, and she's in prison. And the baby is now without a mother. And one day, I was reading another story, like maybe about 2-3 years ago. Same thing happened. I was like, am I having a deja vu moment or something? But no, this actually happens more times than you think.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Bill. Try to do a joke.
Well, my friend, he went into a bar and he put beef stew in a water, not a water bottle, heating, the thing you'd put on your headache you used to have where you put stuff in it. What am I trying to think of? know.
Hot ball?
Yeah, I guess. And he went into a bar. He had it down his shirt and went into a bar and he went, and then he went and hit that and went all over the bar. And he said everything was fine till the guy was cleaning it up and he says, "Oh, hold on, let me have the big chunks." He got kicked out and never allowed in there again. Just in case someone wants to try something. I don't know.
Well, there goes our first and last viewer.
Mhm.
And- see, they went away already. They're like, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill. We can blame it on you.
Squirrel.
Nothing about what you just said made any sense.
Hold on, I got that.
Yes, there you go.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
And to put things into a little bit more perspective for you there, Bill, we're not just confined to a singular room. We're on the worldwide fucking web where shit is forever. You have brought a slice of idiocracy to the entire world. Congratulations.
So do
David?
you want me to chop this
David,
section out
golf
and make
clap?
it its own video?
Golf clap?
Or you could do the, what is it called in the liberal protest when they do this? There's
Oh
a
man,
term.
have you seen that?
There's a term. Do what?
Have you seen that?
Oh, when Occupy.
Hold on. It was a bunch of people going out and they're having a convention about tisms. It's like, hey, if everybody can keep it down a little bit while I'm up here, because I can't deal with like loud noises or anything. And the first half, most of the convention and the speaking was people complaining on what tism they have and what they can't stand. I was like, someone started clapping. It was like, no. We can't clap. We can't clap. Just lightly. A lot of noise. We can't. I was like, geez, I know people that has PTSD that doesn't have these minutimisms.
It's twinkles or down twinkles. When Occupy Wall Street first came out, I watched the first 17 hours of their own broadcast. And the thing they did in protest, they didn't want the noise of clapping, so they did up twinkles. And if they disapproved of something, down twinkles.
And
during all of their protests.
No one cared. All right, Bill, go about the stuff that Canada, because Reagan conservatives are so upset if we go look at the news. Johnny, how upset are you right now because of that video? Are you fuming? Are you going to take the paint off the walls with your bare hands? Bill, are you going to start like getting so angry that you're going to torch your own walls?
I'm not, but I'm absolutely, because I don't want to just flip out right now. I am refusing to go to the X feed of the Lincoln Project because they are blasting the hell out of that ad. Idiot Doug Ford spent $75 million, the premier of Ontario, to run ads that were basically the purpose was anti-Trump on trade, and he took Reagan's video out of context and ran it. The video makes it look like Reagan was 100% against trade. It takes out of the context that, yeah, it's bad, but we had to do it on Japan for this. And right now, Trump heard that, and at about, I guess it was about midnight, 1:00 this morning or something, I saw that Trump had put on a post that I am breaking off all trade relations with Canada. Basically, they're done. And Carney had kind of gotten close to getting to where he could talk to him since the digital service tax episode in June. And it's cratered completely again. I pulled YouTube up a little while ago, and something came up. Where is it? Oops. Well, anyway, something has happened, and I think he might have backed down an hour or two ago on that. But Trump is so pissed. I don't know if there's any backing down. And here's Jasmine Lane is a really good podcaster in Canada. And here's just a minute of what she played that gives a description of the motives, the real motives behind what Doug Ford did.
If only we could hear it, Bill.
That's what they were planning to do with this clip. But here's what Rosemary Barton had to say.
I think you could imagine that upset Donald Trump, that it wasn't just the ad itself and the words of Ronald Reagan, that it was the idea that someone from the outside was trying to upend his political balancing act, if you will, and try and break or find division within the Republican Party itself. I mean, that was sort of the shrewdness of the ad, but also the danger of the ad, to be quite frank as well. And it would seem to have very much upset the president.
Pretty sure that CBC accidentally told the truth. Rosemary Barton says that the ad looked like an outsider trying to upend Trump's political balancing act and to find division within the Republican Party. Doug Ford, in the clip we just played, said, I think that MAGA Republicans and Reagan Republicans are going to be fighting with each other. And I hope Reagan Republicans win. I don't know about you, but that does not sound like an observation to me. It sounds a lot more like a revelation. And it would be very on brand for how the Canadian government works. They call conservative.
I got to say one thing and one thing only. Okay, Bill. Looking at that woman, okay? I'm looking at that woman, and my first thoughts is this, okay? Is you look at her face, and now after I do this little snippet, this is what I thought it was. And you run that video again.
These are delicious.
I mean, you look at that face. Now run that video again. Run that video again, Bill. Just the first thing of her face. Put it up there. Just put it up there, right there.
Well,
where you don't have, I look at her face. Am I wrong? Johnny, am I wrong? She has enough makeup. I might think she might be African American, portraying a white chick.
So what you're saying is that she's white facing? Is that what you're trying to say?
She's one of the Waynes.
She is running a deblemisher through that.
Yeah, whatever.
It's
Okay.
not makeup, it's digitally altered.
Again, I will post this again. Okay. Look at this. Look at that. and you look at the other chick, it's almost the same.
Mm.
Aw,
I do have to play about 20 more seconds of audio because that was not quite backed up to where I wanted it.
Be right of the video and audio footage.
Happy about it? Well, here's what he told reporters, and basically I could sum it up as sorry, not sorry.
I heard that the president heard our ad. I'm sure he wasn't too happy, but it's real because it was coming from the best president the country's ever seen, Ronald Reagan. It's going to be focused right across the country, but also in Republican-held areas, because what I feel, the Reagan Republicans are going to be fighting with a MAGA group. And let's hope Reagan Republicans win.
All right, so timeout. So what we're seeing here, and I know this is a stretch, I'm not saying it's what actually happening. Allegedly, what we're seeing here is a foreign government official trying to interfere with the American government.
Not allegedly, since he actually said it out loud.
Right. But we say I'm just throwing the word allegedly out there because like it's the optic word of the day. So
no, he was a fucking dick.
Yeah. See, we got Bill to drop the F-bomb on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the same Bill Ford, if I'm not mistaken.
Doug Ford,
I'm sorry. This is the same Doug Ford that openly smoked crack like about 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same guy, right, Bill?
I hadn't heard that one.
No, because he's the mayor of Toronto, right?
No, he's the premier of Ontario.
Oh, okay. So at the time, he was the mayor of Toronto. Go back and look it up, Bill. I believe it's the same guy that, there's footage of him out there in his fucking underwear because he is high. He's higher than a hippie in a helicopter trying to fly a kite.
You might be kind of wrong on that because there is a Rob Ford timeline of Rob Ford, because I typed Doug Ford and then I do get something else with Doug Ford. So maybe there is a Rob Ford and a Doug Ford that did drugs. His funniest escapade recently is Crown Royal is shutting down their bottling operation in Canada and moving it to America. Avoid some of the tariffs. Now, our nice Crown Royal in the nice bag is still made in Canada, but he called for a boycott of Crown Royal, and he got in front of the cameras and he just opened this bottle of Crown Royal. He said, I'm gonna dump it on the ground. He dumps it on the ground and he shakes it and he shakes it. It still has the little plug in it. In the alcohol bottle, so it doesn't pour. So he's sitting there. If you find a video on that, that is so hilarious. But here he is boycotting something that most of the employees are still in Canada. They just want it bottled here to avoid some of the tariffs.
Yeah.
He's also pissed because
I find that funny, and because Crown Royal is so wildly popular in the southern states. Like people make clothing out of those bags.
Oh yeah. Now the bags on the other hand, I totally agree with you, the bags. But
now
I
still have some Maple Crown on the shelf over here. And one thing I recommend with Maple Crown, don't put it on pancakes. Just not the same. Too thin, runny, it just doesn't work.
You know what? I'll do what I want, Bill.
Try
Bill,
it.
You have to warm it up, like you simmer it in a pan, right? It starts to reduce. Then you take cornstarch, use it as an emulsifier.
Oh.
You take cold or room temperature Crown, you pour a little bit in with it, and you mix it up, make it a slurry. And then with the stuff that's heating up in the pan, you slowly pour it in while you're mixing it. And it thickens up, almost like a Crown gravy, and use that on your pancakes.
I will do that, and I will report back next week how it works.
Okay. And the best part is, is that if you're concerned about things like this, cornstarch is gluten-free.
You haven't you may not have seen the reports from the State Fair of Texas. I'm diabetic, and I showed a video to my or a picture of one of the things to my doctor. My wife was in for an appointment, and I said, I did this, and she's the one I go to for my diabetes, and she was like,
Did she say the same thing that I told you, Bill?
yeah, a lot of people have said that. There was a guy we used to work with who would watch me eat or watch me drink all the energy drinks, and he's on my Facebook, but he's no longer there. He was a guy who tall, kind of had funny. He colored his hair. Do you remember him?
I remember.
And he would always come up in the break room and go, "You're going to lose a foot."
Yeah. You're going to go lose a foot and you're going to go blind. Most people do that because they masturbate.
Just tell them like, hey, look, if I lose a foot, if and when I lose a foot, we'll just circle around and we'll talk about it next time.
I did not expect that. 12-5. I did not expect that.
All right. Well, what else was there in the news?
I found something today, and I know that it's probably better suited for the sports show, but I saw this, and the article came out 4 days ago. It's on ESPN.com, the Associated Press. Cleveland, Ohio. An Ohio Common Pleas judge granted a temporary restraining order on Monday, which would allow high school athletes in the state of Ohio to enter into deals that profit off their talent, i.e. NIL deals, like college athletes. So Ohio athletes, high school athletes, are now going to be able to enter into deals to get paid to play sports. Tell me that is not the worst idea in the world without actually telling me.
Well, that was almost the same thing with the college kids being able to gamble on their team.
Well, yeah, but okay, so Franklin County Common Pleas Court Judge Jaiza Page issued her order on Monday, which would allow all students who are part of the 818 schools in the Ohio High School Athletic Association to enter into their own NIL deals. Now, Ohio is one of 6 states that has rules in place that don't allow high school athletes to accept payments for their name, image, and likeness. The others are Alabama, Indiana, Michigan, Mississippi, and Wyoming. Jasmine Brown, the mother of Jamar Brown, filed the lawsuit in Franklin County Common Pleas Court on October 15th in her role as, quote, parent or guardian. Now, Brown is a junior who attends Wayne High School in Huber Heights, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton. He's the top wide receiver prospect in the class of 2027. Brown has verbally committed to Ohio State, which is in Franklin County. But here's the thing. She's like, well, he's already missed out on $100,000 in potential NIL deals. Your kid's job in high school is to just go to fucking class.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why they call them student athletes. You're a student first. Here's the thing. And you know, if I start stepping on toes about, you know, welfare moms and crap like that, then, you know, hey, so be it. But at this point, I think it needs to be said that a lot of the parents in those areas, they don't care anything about their kid making the money. They're, you know, because they're minors at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's going to get control of those funds?
Unless it's in California.
No, we're specifically talking about Ohio.
No, I get that. But what will probably happen after a couple of times that the kid makes the money, the parent loses the money because they spend all the money, it might come into laws. Like California has a lot of laws to do with child actors. That's the main thing, and it probably just pertained to
Yeah,
this.
and that's because those child actors have to join SAG, which is a union. Okay,
Mhm.
so the union reps protect those children, and then child labor laws, which are not only state governed but also federally mandated. The child has protections there.
Mhm.
Okay, but with student athletes at the high school level, we're talking prep, right?
Mhm.
They should not be getting paid. Okay, now if they're, I mean, because at that point, like you think about it in terms like this. Look at the state of Texas, right?
Mhm.
We've got, I don't know, better part of a couple of thousand high schools, conservatively speaking, right?
Yeah.
Enough to the point where we need 6 different classes with multiple districts within those levels, right? A lot of those high schools are in the inner city outlining areas that are not necessarily economically well off. Okay. So my fear is if you're going to pass laws like this, you got to put a cap on what the kid can earn.
Mhm.
Okay. And the money is not immediately spent. It has to go into a trust that the kid does not have access to until they go to college.
Mhm.
If they had things like that in place that were absolutely concrete and airtight, I've got no problem with that. But my problem comes from the fact that I know, and I mean, it's just common sense at this
Okay,
point.
is this all like sponsorship deals too?
No, it's well, I mean, it could be. I mean, because really, it's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
Where the school's now paying for this kid to play. Where's that money coming from? Right? School bonds, property tax increases, things like that, right? So you're going to start making an impoverished area even more impoverished because now people can't afford to pay the property tax on their homes while they're sending their kid to these high schools to get paid to play football or basketball. See, in high school, and now granted, the Ohio State University is in the same county as this story,
Mhm.
right? The university gets tax breaks, and I'm guaranteeing you that the area of that county where the university is at is a whole lot more economically well-to-do and insulated from the rest of the county.
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, you see that within a city structure, right?
Yeah.
Even Wichita Falls, it's got its moderate, it's got its well-to-do, and then you got places like the Dog Patch up there where economics 101 doesn't really apply, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's a slippery slope. Okay, that's why it needs to have a cap. And the kids can't have access to that money. Neither can the parents, because it's all going to go into a trust that the kid, under their name, is going to have access to do things like pay for their tuition, pay for their books, pay for their room and board. Once they get to college,
Mhm.
I mean, when they get to that collegiate level, and then the NI deals that are already legal and the structure has already been set up, and then you've got things like booster clubs and alumni that contribute to those, to those budgets. It's again, it's insulated from
Yeah.
the rest of the economy. But on the high school level, where's that money going to come from? So that's why it needs a cap. Like,
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you with the cap if it when so this is actually getting put in.
temporarily, yeah, for right now.
Okay.
Because the judge issued a restraining order, which basically allowed them to make these NIL deals at the high school level up there in Ohio. But like I said,
I don't believe
it's a Pandora's box, man.
No, one, I don't believe it should happen at all for
Yeah.
high school at all. One, okay. I was gonna do this for Wednesday show or
Well, we'll pick this back up. This discussion. We'll pick this back up on Monday, and then we can pick it up again on Wednesday, because I'm going to do some more research on this story, and I'm going to see if I can find some of the economic numbers from Franklin County, Ohio, just to kind of find out like where the demographics fall, like what kind of economic demographics are we talking about here, because this story here just has like the potential to get really, really like bad.
Yeah. Here's okay. This is what's probably going to happen as a travel portal. Okay. If the high school stuff happens, they're probably going to have a travel portal, correct? It might happen.
You know, you would think that a transfer portal would have to be set up. And if that's the case, right, you're not talking just about a single individual going from one school to the next. You're having to relocate entire families.
Yeah. Well, here's
so the economics there, just the logistics and economics don't line up.
Yeah. Well, here's the dark side of that for college travel portal. This is the dark side of it. I found this today, and I was going to do it for either Wednesday show or Monday show, but here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Know that there's like 40 to 50% of students that go in a transfer portal don't get a scholarship offer? Like, y'all ain't know that. Like, let me explain to y'all. So listen, right now it is August, okay? And let's say I'm not playing right now for X university, okay? And then in December, after the last game, I decide, you know what? I'm gonna hop into the transfer portal. Like, I'm Derek Tatum. I'm at a D1 school. I decided I'm gonna hop into the transfer portal. It's December. Now, you know I got a car note. You know I got bills. You know I got an apartment that I'm paying in. See, what you guys don't realize, when you enter your name in that portal, your scholarship is only good to the end of that semester. So what happens is, if you hop into that transfer portal and you don't get an offer, January, your scholarship is over with. That car note is still due. That apartment lease until July is still due. Those bills are still coming. So there are kids that were on full scholarship, guys. See, this is kind of the underworld nobody's talking about. There are kids that was on full scholarship, decided that because I'm not playing football, I'm not starting, I'm going to go into the portal. And guess what? Those same kids sitting there with no offers and bills still due. That's why the transfer portal is messing up some kids' credit, and they don't even know it, because guess what? When they hop in their portal and January comes and they sitting there with no offers, those bills still coming. So again, 40 to 50% of the people in the portal aren't getting offers, and they got to walk on now. That's why, like having a walk on is almost as valuable as a scholarship, because colleges are getting ex-college players that were on scholarship to walk on because they made a emotional decision to jump in the transfer portal and they didn't get an offer.
Yeah, and that is wildly valid. So nobody talks about that. It's you know, like they talk about in the military. It's like they didn't put that in the brochure. Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's all Club Med, right? It's all room service and, you know, free gig Wi-Fi and yada yada yada. But it's on the other side where, you know, you get these kids that don't get those offers. They're stuck, and a lot of times they'll find themselves on the shorter end of the stick. They're going to have to drop out of school just so that way they can get a job and then try to go back part-time, and then they're not playing anymore, period. So yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, I'm glad that you found that video. Bookmark that, man, because we need to talk about that. Let's save that video for Wednesday next week. And okay. I mean, provided we can get Trey on, I mean, Trey's going to love that.
Well, okay. This is what happened with Trey. On Wednesday's episode, he was going to be on. The HMO went a little bit longer
Mhm.
than he expected. Apparently, the treasurer of his
Oh, you mean the
HOA
HOA? Yeah, his HOA.
was embezzling funds.
Okay.
Trade
Yeah.
might be a new treasurer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, save that video anyway. So I'm going to do some more research on this story. We're going to tie it in with that video, and I'm going to see what we can do to find out. I'm going to do some research on my end, see what kind of bones that I can dig up out of the or skeletons I can dig up on this.
Yeah.
And then we're going to expand on it because
It's so sketchy and scary.
I'm so
It-
it's not that I think that these kids aren't worth their due. It's the fact that the system set up at the prep level, at the high school level,
Mhm.
can be so easily corrupted, and these kids can be taken advantage of by their own parents. And I say that not any kind of like social, economic, cultural way.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we've got evidence. I mean, it doesn't matter what skin color you are, what nationality you are, what ethnicity. Sometimes parents just aren't worth the clothes that they're wearing, and they take advantage of their kids.
What was it, Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. Even Lindsay Lohan's parents, like her dad. Oh, that dude was batshit crazy.
And he did it until it went. I think she stopped getting all of her, started actually getting some money, like when she was in her 30s.
Yeah,
Britney Spears.
Yeah, well, now to be fair, Britney Spears should have remained in that conservatorship because wow.
Oh, yeah.
There is a reason for things sometimes. I'm just like, yo.
I liked the slot machine. Britney
Britney
Spears
slot machine.
Britney Spears slot machine. I was out with Mom, and she just popped out with this, and she looks at. I said, "Mom, come over here and look at this," and she goes, "It's a slot machine."
Okay. Well, here's another thing. Last thing that we're going to talk about. We might be going to war with Venezuela.
Actually, they were sort of semi-prohibited from even covering us after that. It was pretty amazing. But we have the Gulf of America, and there are very few boats, very, very few boats, not even fishing boats, to be honest. I don't want to do that to the fishing industry, but it's been so effective. And our sea drugs, as they call them, they use the term sea drugs, the drugs coming in by sea, are like 5% of what they were a year ago, less than 5%. So now they're coming in by land, and even the land is concerned because I told them that's going to be next. The land is going to be next, and we may go to the Senate, we may go to the Congress and tell them about it, but I can't imagine they'd have any problem with it. I think, in fact, while we're here, I think it's a good idea, Pete. You go to Congress, you tell them about it. What are they going to do? Say, gee, we don't want to stop drugs pouring in. They're killing 300,000 people a year. I think that's the real number, 300,000 people a year. So between that and my discussion with President Xi, I think we have never made progress like we've made. The sea drugs are almost dead, and they can't come in that fast from the land. And the land drugs are much more dangerous for them. It's going to be much more dangerous. You'll be seeing that soon. So that's the way it is. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead, please. With the glasses, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good.
I wanted to ask, what's your reaction to Representative Dan Goldman calling on NYPD to arrest ICE agents who he says are acting illegally? He says they are illegally assaulting people and illegally detaining people at immigration courts in New York.
Well, I know Dan, and Dan's a loser. You understand. He's a guy that doesn't have what it takes. He's been trying so hard, and they're exhausted. It's so ridiculous, right? A suggestion like that. So, they're just trying so hard, and it's not working. They've even now started imitating me, of all people. They want to imitate me, and they start using foul language, but they use too much of it. You can't use the F word 7 times in one sentence. It doesn't work. It might work once every 7 news conferences, but you can't do it. You can't do it 7 times in one sentence. So I don't know. They're really they're in big trouble, that party. Go ahead.
Mr. President. some alleged smugglers have survived some of these recent strikes and been sent
Two.
back to their home country. If they're terrorists, why not just arrest and detain them?
Go ahead.
2 points on that. First, when I served in Iraq in 2005 and 2006, we used to, in sort of a gallows humor way, talk about the Iraqi catch and release program, the reality that we would catch a lot of people, hand them over, and then they would be recycled back through and we'd have to recapture them or attack them again. And that's why changing the dynamic and actually taking kinetic strikes on these boats ought change the psychology of these foreign terrorist organizations. To those two that survived the shot on the semi-submersible, think again, compared to Iraq and Afghanistan, the vast majority of people that we captured on the battlefield, we handed over to the home country. Did we always like how it shaped out? Sometimes we did, sometimes we did not. But 99% would go to the Afghan authorities or the Iraqi authorities. So in this case, those two, they were treated by American medics and handed immediately over to their countries where they came from, hopefully to face prosecution, which is a very standard way of handling something like this.
And you'll do that with future survivors?
This latest news.
You know
So
what?
do you think he's going for complete regime change?
Okay, here's the thing. All right. You can't have a regime change if there's already a regime change. No one's talking about that. Who won the Nobel Peace Prize this year?
Maria Corina Machado.
Why did she win it?
Because she was
she's the president of Venezuela. She is the president of Venezuela. Who's the dictator right now? Who stopped it?
Trump.
Bill, I'm being serious.
Okay.
Who?
Well, no, that's how the liberals look at it. At
I
the
don't give a shit
entire
about the
situation.
liberals. I want facts, okay? Who is the person that believes he's in charge right now because he put himself there? Maduro. So this is, and we talked about it last week. This is the second time that this has happened. Okay. First, it was fuck. What the hell is that country's name that in the beginning of the 80s that
Nicaragua or
yes,
Nicaragua?
Yes,
I can't say that word. I am
I'm
physically incapable of saying the word Nicaragua.
He said it.
Hey, look at me.
Hey, you learning?
I thought
feel
you had
like I'm
mentioned
growing.
Colombia.
That was the first one. That was the first one. The second one was Panama. Okay.
Panama.
And we discussed this last week, and that's where I found out the whole thing. Next one's going to be Venezuela. And the reason why it's going to be Venezuela is because there is already a regime change. No news article, nothing in the news is reporting on that. The only thing they reported on was, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. She's the president of Venezuela. We're trying to put her in, not because, she's for Trump. And she said she's for Trump. Good. That's nice. That's all right. But she's the president of Venezuela. No one is saying that. No news company is saying that she is literally, her life is on the line right now.
Well, it doesn't fit the narrative of the American mainstream media.
You're absolutely right. But she is the president of Venezuela.
Yeah, and she is, and by all accounts, I mean, she's a conservative by our standards.
Yes. I mean,
so
Trump
again, and this is why she's barely getting mentioned. I mean, the only time you're going to see her mentioned, I saw a story about her the other day in Reuters. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think she's exiled now. She hasn't gone into Venezuela in a while.
Well, I mean, but still, it's do I think that we need to commit military assets to fighting the drug trade in Venezuela and Colombia?
Yes.
To
this is WOD2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
War on drugs too.
But what we need to do.
Except for we just need to make cocaine clean again. No fentanyl in it.
There was a wonderful policy that was instituted by Nixon back in the Vietnam War. Carpet bombing, carpet bombing.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring it back. Make Venezuela, at least the hillsides, the mountainsides, look like this, look like a moonscape. Really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying defoliate. Don't use defoliants or anything, Agent Orange-esque, because that's just all kinds of problems. And on top of that, the environmental whack jobs and the Sierra Club and stuff like that, they'll inject themselves into the battlefield. But if we commit military assets, run a blockade, absolutely. For these semi-submersibles that are out there, we have the most advanced and fearsome submarine fleet in the world for a reason. Let's put some put some boats out in the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
But and we don't even need to have them be nuclear. We don't at all. Put conventional subs out there. Well, I say nuclear powered. Yes. Do they need to carry nuclear ordnance? No.
Just drop
torpedo boats. Just put some torpedo boats out there in the Gulf, and they don't even have to run silent. Let them run on the surface for as much as they want, and when we get report, and whenever the sonar buoys or whatever ping something that's below the surface running, okay, hey, we're going to intercept and we're just going to blow them up. It's as simple as that. I mean,
here's another round of thinking. Though, if you think about it, you have to have like no brains after this is like the fourth or fifth one, right? And they still do the boats. They never catch us.
Well, I mean, usually you run out of brains after a headshot anyway.
Yeah.
So,
especially if it's a missile.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, he's, and the president talks about things being taken up on land. That's always been a thing, right? So we know that there's a tunnel system that runs under the border between Mexico and America.
Yeah.
He's already got National Guard troops and military units down there on the border. Just continue to do that. Not to the point where it becomes a DMZ. We're not doing that, right? It's not North nor South Korea type stuff. But definitely keep the presence down there, and make it like a normal rotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deployment, it's a normal rotation, kind of like Kuwait. You're there, you do what, 6 to 8 months, right? As a rotation.
No, you can do, Army can do a year.
Well, yeah. So, you do a year rotation,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, domestically, it's along those lines of, you're going to start running into that burnout factor, right? And then the numbers, our numbers drop. But
Mm-hmm.
just do like 6-month rotations, and integrate the National Guard and Reserve units, right? I mean, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And but let the Navy and the Coast Guard do their thing out on the sea. And if you're really, really wanting to bolster things coming in via the coast, anything that may or may not slip past, keep Marine units out there on the ports. Just keep a garrison. Keep a garrison posted up at like Coast Guard bases, right? And they make them like a QRF, quick reactionary force. They can be wheels up, and they can be on ground anywhere where there's going to be a suspected landing within a few minutes to a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. I mean, when these drug runners pull up onto the shore, they pull up to these docks and they see a platoon of Marines, they're going to think twice. And if they want to start throwing, lead downrange, guess what? It's going to come back to you in the form of a wall, and you're going to lose that argument real quick. But do we need the presence there in the sense of, hey, you guys don't pull your heads out of your ass, we're going to start putting boots on your shore? No, I think that we need to use that as a last resort, keep it for what it is, which is supposed to be a deterrent, right? Peace through strength kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, but definitely have like an active blockade naval ships, Coast Guard ships, and as far as the land-based side of it, Marines in the ports, and the Army, and comprised of active duty, reserve, and National Guard, have them do rotations out on the border. And that'll secure things a whole lot quicker. And now, are we going to get cooperation out of the state of California? No, we won't. Gavin Newsom's already made that abundantly clear. But
how many Indian drivers has killed so many people so far?
Right. I don't know. It's just the system is it's this bad because it's been allowed to be broken for so long.
Yeah, especially in certain states.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost to the point where it's become damn near institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
And the great one, Mark Levin, has always warned against things becoming institutionalized, to where, you can govern by, via fiat. But I think that with our border being as porous as it has been for the last 40 years, yeah, I mean, there's no wonder why we're dealing with the problems that we're dealing with today versus, you look at some of these European countries. Now, I say European countries. You look at things like Mexico, their southern border is absolute shit. But you come in from the north and they find you, you're going to go to prison, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You go to Russia, they've got a no-nonsense immigration policy. A lot of the Southeastern Asian countries, they've got a no-nonsense immigration policy.
Look at Poland.
Yeah, Poland. I mean, they've got an absolutely no holds barred, don't fuck with us immigration policy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting fined. And he's getting fined. And he said, Orban says, I'm going to pay it. Screw you. And the EU Commission is now trying to fine him $20,000 per person that tries to seek asylum in Poland, and he refuses.
And that's because of the Islamization of the EU.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Pure, plain and simple. I mean, you can call it Islamophobia, and I will argue with you all day that it's not. And it's not even a race issue because, it's just like immigration. They try to make it a race issue, and it's like, oh, you just don't like Hispanics. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's you want to be here, do it the right way. Or don't, but if you're going to do it the wrong way, don't be surprised and don't be offended when you get arrested. And the only reason why we're having to crack down the way that ICE has been cracking down over the last few months is because we've had to. The United States as a whole, country, a government, as a society, we've been backed into a corner because of the bad policy decisions of previous administrations, allowing undocumented people to slip into the country and circumvent our laws. And had we been on point with the the sentinel mentality of, yeah, give me you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, you're sick, but you got to do it the right way. Come in via the ports, right?
Mm-hmm.
New York, or if you apply, go apply for a visa before you come over.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, we can't afford. Then you make the decision to stand up for yourself in the area that you're at, and you make that area as good as possible while you're working towards that end. If you are that set on leaving your area because it's just so bad, then you either relocate to another area of your country and make your life better that way, or you just you hunker down and you fight the good fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it to me, it almost seems kind of counterintuitive to send your husbands and your brothers north to work here where they don't get taxed, because a lot of times they're getting paid under the table, and they send their money back to their countries of origin. When their countries of origin, their infrastructure is falling apart because all the men are working in another country. I mean, you see where I'm going with that?
No, I totally understand, because we had the same problem. I looked at that problem when I was in Bahrain and Kuwait.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all the time, you know, when we see these asylum seekers, right? And they're all military age men, right? And everybody talks about, well, you know, this isn't immigration, this is an invasion, and to an extent they are correct. But when you take that demographic, that age group out of the populace by dislocating them, you're in effect inviting lawlessness, and that lawlessness is just basically a vacuum, right? And power abhors a vacuum. So what happens? You get the cartels; they move in, and because nobody there is readily able physically to fight back, they've got free run of the country. So they're basically shooting themselves in the foot and cutting their own necks by doing what they're doing, coming over here illegally and leaving their homeland to be undefended.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And
you know,
it's not necessarily
go ahead.
it's not necessarily just Islamic. It is in Europe, but we're having the same immigration issue in Canada and Australia. And in Canada, it's people from India and China.
Yeah, you know, I no, and I get it, and you're right, Bill. We should have been a little bit more inclusive there. So it's a multicultural problem, right? Where huge swaths of those populations, those ethnic groups, are relocating to different areas of the globe, and you know, it's under the guise of making a better life for themselves. But when they get to where they're going, all they do is just institute the same policies and practices of the country that they were trying to escape. And I've got no problem with the melting pot that America was built to be, right? That's who we are as a society, as a culture. We're a melting pot. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? But it's the good parts. It's the good part. It's the good things from those home countries brought here, and they all meld together and somehow they work. It's when you bring those bad ideas over with you, like Sharia law.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stark contradiction to the way American society is supposed to operate. There's absolutely no freedom to it at all. You know, like, well, you separate church and state. Well, you show me in the Constitution where it physically says that we have to keep those separate. But that amendment covers, it protects us from a state-sponsored religion, which means this, you know, the United States government cannot tell us that we have to be Protestant or Catholic. We have the ability to worship as we want, right? But they can, you know, there's no separation there. It's like you got to keep God out of government. Well, no, because we were founded as a Christian Judeo, nation to begin with. Right.
Their original reason for that was the UK, the British, and the British Church. They didn't want us to have that the system as far as the British and the way their religion works. We broke away, and they didn't want that kind of government-run religion.
Yeah, and that's what the amendment protects us from. It doesn't say anything about keeping them separate. And I think that is one of the more overused and one of the most incorrectly interpreted amendments in the Constitution. I really do. I mean, I firmly believe that. And I mean, it goes back to, what was it, back in the 70s? It might have been further back than that. It was a parent who was a self-professed atheist that did not want their kid participating in prayer time at school. Like, we used to have prayer, the moment of silence and prayer in the morning, at schools all across the country. And for years, it did not create a problem until somebody decided to say, you know what, I interpret the Constitution this way. And they got a lawyer to buy off on it. And the lawyer argued the Supreme Court enough to where they got their way.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just another milestone in the slow and unfortunate chipping away of the firewall that is our Constitution.
Yeah.
You had the perfect response to how anyone should respond to the immigration argument.
Yeah.
Melting pot. That was your response, Johnny, when you said melting pot. That should be everyone's response when they say, oh, look, Statue of Liberty, immigration. We are a melting pot, not individual little fiefdoms created all over the place.
Yep. But anyways, Bill, Russia oil and the secondary tariffs.
Yeah, Trump is finally getting it. People have gone, oh, he's an agent of Putin. He needs to put these tariffs on these sanctions on Russian oil. But why couldn't he do that really fast? Well, if we did, it's not going to do anything. He had to make the deal with Europe, with the EU, for them to find another source for oil. India has been I know he came out and said, oh, he talked with Modi and he said they're going to stop Russian oil or buying oil from Russia. And that kind of, Trump said it, but if you watched news from China or from India, they said absolutely no way. But they are starting two major refineries in India did come out and say, okay, we're no longer going to buy Russian oil. But Trump says, well, it takes time. People say, oh, he's just backing off. Well, those two companies, they bought the contracts for American oil instead of Russian oil. They go into effect at the end of this year and beginning of next year. The oil getting from Russia has already been purchased.
Yeah.
They've got to wait till that ends. And finally, Modi did come out and say, okay, we are slowing it down. So but it's going to, as Trump said, it's going to take a while. It's not an instant flip a switch. And just a little while ago, I saw something, haven't looked it up yet, that China has also agreed. Possibly something to do with his threats of increased tariffs on that with China and the fact that he's possibly going to be working on a deal with China. That's kind of hit or miss. It's like, yeah, he is. No, he isn't. It's off and on. But until they can cut the spigot of the flow out of Russia of the oil, sanctions just by America aren't going to do it. So it's Trump's threats of secondary tariffs to India and China. And one of the reasons why Trump flipped out about the Doug Ford video is he thinks that it is to influence the Supreme Court and their decision that they're going to make on tariffs.
Yeah, they still haven't.
He said that is his direct influence. And if Trump loses that case, the country's dead. It's gone. Everything is reversed.
Yeah. See, for me, I don't think that the Supreme Court has any business getting involved in economics. It's not in their purview.
Well, okay,
it shouldn't be anyway.
The problem, the reason why they are actually going through the Supreme Court is the way that Trump is doing the tariffs. He's doing it in an emergency. We went over it like a couple of weeks ago. What he's going over, he's using tariffs as a state of emergency, which it is, economic state of emergency. He's doing it in a way that he can bypass Congress. Congress is technically supposed to make the tariffs and do X, Y, Z. They're literally ones that set the finish up the policy of trade. The president sets it up, goes in and puts in, okay, I want this and this. This is what they agreed on. And then the Congress goes in and bounces back and forth, and their Congress goes back and forth with the trade.
I think the internet's trying to take a shit on us, guys.
Probably. With all this rain and everything, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's how it's supposed to go, and that's the reason why they're going through the Supreme Court to actually do through that.
Yeah. And he's doing the emergency powers on oil and on drugs, like China sending the precursors up to Canada. Canada makes it. China practically runs the port of Vancouver. they send it to into the United States through Mexico. His latest one, though, is very interesting. Instead of, how we have the strategic oil reserve, he is wanting to create a strategic rare earth reserve.
Okay.
So then everything he does for rare earth would be he's already deemed them critical because they're for military use and other uses. But that's interesting. I heard that a few days ago, creating a rare earth reserve.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea at all. Especially when we start doing things like, once like the industrialization of space starts to actually become a reality, a rare earth, reserve would really be a good idea.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and land this plane, everybody. Thank you all that visited and checked up on us and make sure that we're doing the right. But love you guys. I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
Wild William.
That was kind of... Do it again, Johnny, because you
I'm Johnny Skelton.
I'm David Dickerman.
And I'm Wild William.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Love you guys. Goodbye.
Fare thee well, Felicia.